Well, Beverly, they've taken issue with the very fact that both Bill Birtles and Michael Smith essentially sheltered in embassies. Now, it's worth recapping what happened here. Of course, Bill, we know, was basically preparing to leave China when he got a midnight knock on the door from Chinese state security agents. The next morning, after they informed him that he couldn't leave the country, Bill decided to go to the Australian embassy in Beijing, and he was advised by diplomats to stay there, not to leave. They couldn't guarantee his safety if he left, they said. And then this extraordinary diplomatic wrangle sort of flowed from that, with Chinese and Australian officials effectively negotiating a deal whereby Bill and also Michael Smith would give a perfunctory interview before being allowed eventually to leave the country. Now, China this evening has really ratcheted up its rhetoric yet again about this whole affair, saying that Australia's decision to offer safe harbour to its own citizens within its embassy in Beijing and its consulate in Shanghai and associated properties amounted to interference in China's judicial sovereignty. The spokesman for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, saying that Australia's actions in organising the journos to hide in the embassy, that's his description, exceeded the scope of normal consular affairs. So clearly China is still not inclined to let this matter rest, even though they did essentially reach a negotiated settlement with Australia to allow both Birtles and Smith to leave. It's clearly smarting from the negative press coverage that it's picked up around the world for the harassment and intimidation that Bill and Michael Smith were subjected to. And it's making it very, very clear to the Australian government that it will continue to push them on this subject, even though both men have now left China.
There are lots of other Australians working in many different fields in China. Is this a sign that this could have a flow-on effect to Australia's diplomatic representation there?
I don't think it, personally, I don't think it's yet reached the sort of seriousness where we might see China trying to scale back Australia's diplomatic presence in China or force diplomats to leave China. At least I've seen nothing in anything I've read to indicate that is being contemplated. Certainly, I don't believe the federal government believes that that's an option at the moment. But it is true that we are really in a bit of a spiral at the moment with China. Mutual suspicion is continuing to grow. Both sides are increasingly hostile towards the other. And the rhetoric now that we're seeing from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is just routinely hostile. Of course, it's not just the Birtles and Smith affair. The Chinese government has taken enormous offence at Australia's foreign interference investigation, in particular an investigation which embroiled a number of journalists and academics from China in Australia. Again, the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs launched into Australia accusing the government and security agencies of ignoring the fundamental rights of Chinese in Australia. Look, every single time the rhetoric is ramped up, you do get the sense that this hostility is hardening, both in Canberra and Beijing. So it's not surprising that there's a fair amount of anxiety in federal government agencies about where this will end. But that anxiety is accompanied by a feeling, an absolute sense of certainty at the highest level of the Morrison government that they should not and cannot give way, and to do so would subject them only to further contempt from China.
Stephen Dziedzic in Canberra, thanks so much.